Welcome and thanks for tuning into Community Crossroads this week. I'm Karina Garcia. On today's show, we speak to Republican State Board of Education candidate L.J. Francis, and we sit down with the Calhoun County incumbent candidate for Justice of the Peace, Hope D. Kurtz. We also follow Carolina Astrain as she takes a tour of the food bank of the Golden Crescent. And finally, we travel around Victoria to hear your opinions about the November 8th general election. And joining us right now is Republican candidate L.J. Francis for State Board of Education. Welcome, AJ. Thank you so much for being with us. I know election times is crazy, so you must be all over the board. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you so much, Karina. It's a pleasure to be here in Victoria again. Seems like I'm always here in Victoria. It's like my it's like my political home, if you will. I live in Corpus Christi.
That makes sense. Michael Cloud's here all the time too. He said the same thing. So
yes,
that's how that works. So right off the bat, why do you think you're qualified for office, for this position specifically?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I'm a Christian, and you know, everyone that I've talked to on the campaign trail saying we need God back in school, and that's so very important for children today. So I take that very seriously. I'm a professional engineer. I sit on several boards and commission at the state level. Most notably is the Regional Flood Planning Board, which I'm the chairman of, overseeing 31 counties and just preparations for natural disasters like flood. And also I've been named Texas Society of Professional Engineers 2022 Young Engineer of the Year. I got that award recently.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And most importantly, I'm a parent as well. And that's also important because parental voices need to be heard at the State Board of Education level. Right.
And to those who argue that we need to step away from religion out of the classroom, what do you say to those people?
I say let's just look at the results. Look at what we've seen happening since we have taken God out of the classroom. I mean, the school scores are going down. Children are being indoctrinated, in my opinion, on things that really don't belong in the classroom. So if we look at before and after, we see the stark differences that we need to have God back in the classroom. And you know, my reliance and my faith in Jesus Christ does not, you know, means that we're going to be telling kids what they need to do. The parents are responsible for that, but I'm just saying, as where I am and when I make my decisions, I place a high reliance on the Lord.
Okay. Well, speaking of our education system, Texas has one of the lowest percentage rates of high school graduates. What are we doing to better that? And what can we do to better that?
Right. So one of the things right off the bat is that we realize when you look at the stats, Karina, that not only do we have low graduation rates in some cases, but we have low performance, even with students that are graduating. And I believe that what we need to do is focus on the essentials. Right now, if you look at the core subjects, the math, reading, those scores are very low. And students and teachers need to work together to focus on those essentials. And quite recently, the TEA, Texas Education Agency, have geared up and improved their reliance on things like the reading academies, and they're training teachers to make sure that teachers are able and are equipped with the latest knowledge on how to teach reading for students, because that's very important. So making sure that our students are better equipped, I think, is one of the most important things that we can do, and my campaign has been advocating for over the 16-month period that I've been campaigning. And I also know that just making sure that all stakeholders, so teachers, administrators, parents, bring them to the table, let you know, extend the conversation to ensure that everyone that has an influence in our kids' life, you know, has a seat at a table.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and don't go anywhere, because after the break, we hear more with L.J. Francis about our education system and his campaign beliefs. Up next. Welcome back. We are here with L.J. Francis again. Thank you so much for being here. So let's get right into it. So we're going to be talking about House Bill 3979. It seems to cause some controversy between left and right, and we're just going to get some background information. So for those of you who may not know or be aware of this bill, this was signed into May by Governor Abbott, and it changes public school curriculum in Texas by prohibiting teachers from including controversial topics in the classroom, like racism and the subjugation of people of color in the classroom. Now, LJ, what is your stance on this? Because there's some people that want to, have these controversial talks in the classroom, and there's some parents who argue, no, we need to focus strictly on curriculum and, history, math, science, etc. What do you think? What's your take?
So when we talk about HB 3979, which just for your audience was followed up by SB 3, when I look at that bill, I look at it in three segments.
Right.
First segment, it talks about the teachers and ensuring that they're protected. They're not compelled to teach any subject or topic that's controversial. So that's a protection for teachers, because we want our teachers to be protected, right? It looks at our Chicano history. It looks at African American history. It looks at or history in our Latino history, and it looks at all the different history of people that we have here in South Texas and Texas in general, and I believe that's very important. And the second segment looks at what we don't want to happen if a teacher teaches this topic. They use the word deference. That simply means you have a position of authority, and we want the lecture, the information to be objective for students. And then the third part of that bill just looks at, follow the money. We don't want teachers to be compelled to do something because they're getting some sort of monetary benefit. So I look at it as a protection for teachers, for our students, most of all. And, the Texas legislature, we have seen and we have evidence. Even the Commissioner of Education has admitted that we've seen in certain curriculum where you have this bias that goes towards teaching kids. And on my campaign we talk about instances where we've seen this attack because of a certain skin color, and I feel that's not true, and that's a disservice to our children. So when I look at this bill, I don't know why there's controversy in there. I think teachers should be happy that this bill cements that they can't be compelled to teach. But if they do decide to teach, we want it to be objective.
So the option to teach these, quote, controversial topics, it's optional. It's just not required, correct? It's not banned in any sort of way. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So how can we ensure that the students in Texas are receiving the utmost of their education, in a few words, would you say?
I would say the first thing is to ensure that the school districts are purchasing books that have been vetted and approved by the State Board of Education. The State Board of Education has this process that's very public, very open, and when schools choose to get their textbooks from us, the parents can know, the teachers can have an assurance that yes, this textbook, this instructional material that the children are using have been vetted, have been proven to meet the Texas essential knowledge and skills. And that's what we need. We need all students in Texas to learn from one standard.
All right. Well, thank you so much once again. Thank you for being you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right, well, don't go anywhere, because we have incumbent candidate Hope D. Kurtz for Justice of the Peace of Calhoun County up next.